assembly. Let me go into my Triball here. This gives you a good idea as to how the Triball can reorient parts without having to worry about coplanar, collinear, and those kinds of things that used to drive us all crazy. So I'm going to reassemble this into a small little assembly. Let's start with this back piece here. I click on the part, turn my Triball on, and I notice the axis of the Triball. So I do a right click on that, and now I say I want that axis to be parallel to an edge. So I tell it I want it to be parallel to that edge there. So now I know that they're in the same planes so far. Highlight that axis, left mouse, drag and drop it, 90 degrees. So now I know that I'm in the same planes with everything. So I know everything is copacetic. Highlight it, turn the Triball on, unlock the Triball, tell it I want to move the center of that Triball to a point. Well, I move it to that point right there. Lock the Triball in place, pick the point again, and I move it to another point. I want to move it to that point right there. So I just was able to assemble that piece with no constraints. And it's not going to fall apart. You don't need constraints to keep things together. It's not like if I turn this upside down, it's going to fall apart. It doesn't work that way. Until I move that, it's going to stay there. With this part, just the same. Highlight the part, turn the Triball on, but it's not facing in the right direction. So I highlight the direction, the axis that I want to rotate it on, just pull on it slightly, say I want to go 180 on that. Now, I want to put that peg in that hole, but I want the surface of the bottom of this part to be flush with that surface in there. So turning the Triball on, I unlock it, hit the space bar, tell it I want to go to the center point of there. So it moves it up. So now when I lock it in place and I tell it move that to the center point of that hole, it moves it where I want it to go. And it's laying flat inside that groove. But again, I want it to be in that hole. I want this pin to be in that hole. Again, highlight the axis, highlight the side that I want that the hole is on, and I say go to a point, and the point is going to be right there. So now I've just put that pin in place with no constraints whatsoever. And the same goes for this here piece. Highlight the part, turn the Triball on. I want to make this axis parallel to that edge. So now I know that they're in the right order, right configuration position. Now I want to take that the center point there and move it to the center point there. But the keyway is not lined up. So again, highlight the direction, and I want it to go to a point, and the point is right there. Again, without constraints at all. Let's go get our pin, turn our Triball on, and let's highlight that and say I want it to be parallel to an edge. I just find an edge I want it to be parallel to. So now it's in place. But again, I want to unlock it, get the center point, move it to a point, pick that point there, lock it in place, right click on it and go to a point again. This time I want to go to a point right there on the corner. So now I was able to assemble this little piece, whatever it is, without any constraints, only using the Triball. So that's the power of the Triball. And probably if I had to say degree of difficulty, it's learning to use the Triball because it does so much is probably one of the more one of the tougher things. Not tough. It's just a matter of using it. But if it's more difficult than just moving things around. You have to understand how the Triball works. So now we've covered the IntelliShapes and we've covered the Triball.